Hi everyone, this is Jaya once again with another amazing interview, with another chat with one of the teachers of the Bright Path. And in this occasion, I have the enormous pleasure to introduce Jaya Shaya. Jaya is in Spain at the moment. How are you doing, Ishaya? Welcome. Ishaya. Jaya. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Life is really, really nice here. We have a group of ascenders here at the moment. It's very nice.
Mhm. Amazing. Whereabouts are you in Spain?
Oh, it's a little ways out of Barcelona, a little bit south and inland from Tarragona. So if you know that region, we are about an hour and a half south of Barcelona. So what's that? The north east of Spain. And it's a retreat center. So that's what I meant about having a group of people who ascend all together. And I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to spend a lot of time with them and help the retreat to run. And I call myself lucky because it's just such a privilege always to watch groups of people come together with the intention to ascend more, to become more familiar with how ascension can change their lives and watch that, watch them blossom with this teaching and with their own experience. So I feel very blessed to be in the retreats, just witnessing, just watching people's paths and watching their journey of ascension change.
Amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about the retreat? Like how you
Yeah,
get there?
how to get here?
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah,
mean physically, but what do you have to do to be one of those retreats?
it's a really good question because some people might think they have to be advanced to go onto a retreat.
Mhm.
With this teaching, you basically need to learn what's called the first sphere and start practicing the first four techniques which are taught in the first sphere. And the word first sphere basically means circle. So it means completion within this weekend course that we teach people to just start off with this meditation, this style of meditation.
Mhm.
And what I love about the sphere, it means it's complete within itself. So the beginner classes or the first sphere is actually these super solid and powerful techniques that start people on the journey of seeing what the mind is and what they're thinking about and using a tool to actually allow themselves to become present. So when I learned that, I was actually so blown away by what I actually think about and the realization of how much I think and kind of like how not very nice some of those thoughts are. I was so blown away that I was hooked. Instantly, I was like, oh my gosh, I have been creating my unhappiness.
Right.
What's up with that? I had no idea. So
Mm.
I got kind of hooked with just the beginning practice of how ascension shows us, who we are being and what we're thinking about and how we're creating, our suffering.
Mhm.
And so what happened for me was I was so enamored by that I wanted more. And in the world, there's a lot of more for people who learn to ascend. Their local teachers might be doing advanced meetings or advanced weekends, which are amazing ways to kind of keep developing your relationship with this practice
Mhm.
and with seeing, how you think and replacing that with becoming more present. And what a retreat is usually 4 or 5, 1 week, 4 or 5 days, 1 week, or longer.
Mhm.
And it gives you the opportunity to really spend more time with the practice of ascending. And because you have more time, you get to see the patterns more. And the patterns of ascending can be quite revealing, how much judgment you might have. And speaking for myself, I was pretty shocked by how much I judged a lot of people in my lives, the world, myself. And by spending a bit more time ascending in a retreat with the guidance as well from the teachers there, you really can move through those judgments really quickly to see what is it like to live from this present moment and why is that so amazing. And for my own ability to answer my own question just then, to to not have the worry, to not have the suffering, to not have the fear, to not have the self-doubt, to not have the criticism of everyone else. That's what ascension shows us. A life lived without that is a life full and with connection of what is in our own life right now. And that's stunning. That's stunning to actually know that and live that.
Wow, it's just so liberating, Jaya. So
Yeah. Yeah.
realize to open up to seeing those patterns like you were mentioning. So many are completely unaware, and then if you're unaware, how can you do anything about something you don't see?
Absolutely. I was exactly like that. I didn't know I had a choice. I didn't realize I needed a choice because life just was. But when you
Exactly.
start to see, yeah, but when you start to see you have this reoccurring pattern of perhaps judging everyone or trying to compare yourself to others, then you don't realize that that doesn't need to be there.
Can you tell us a little bit about the reasons why people go to a retreat? Or what can they find there? What are the reasons for these people to join a retreat? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I would like to say from the people that I've been around, there's so many different reasons why people end up going for a retreat.
Mhm,
For some people, it could be they just really need time out from life, and they know to go to a retreat will give them that sense of calm or peace that they're hungry for. For
mhm,
some other people, it might be health reasons, maybe they've been told meditation and retreats are beneficial for them. So they go there with perhaps in mind that it's very healing for them. But even if those are kind of like the kind of like superficial reasons why people might come to the retreat, pretty much everyone who's here in these retreats are here because they found something in the practice of ascension that's really spoken to them. There's an experience of peace or connectedness that most ascenders get pretty quickly in their practice. Pretty much as soon as you learn that something shifts and you realize or you remember that life can be lived a way that's filled with more contentment, connection, calm, love, excitement, aliveness. And when people start to feel this and recognize that this is what they're experiencing, they want more, obviously. And I was exactly the same. I knew I could find my happy moments during the day, and for me, it was the sunrise or the sunset. That was always my time. That if I looked for that, went to the place to see it, it was where I found my window in my life to just sit with myself
mhm,
and God, sit with myself and the world in this magical, colorful experience. It was like the universe was giving that to me, twice a day. And when I started to ascend, I realized that that feeling of connectedness or that feeling of wonder, I could actually start to experience that throughout the day in different situations. So, what I really do believe is with all of us, when we start to realize there's this magical quality to life or this aliveness to life that we start to experience again by being present, by not thinking, by not putting the attention on the negativity, what's left, what's here, what's present is this aliveness. And all of us want to know that it's real. All of us want to know there's more. Pretty much everybody comes into the retreat really wanting to know that they can experience that at any moment. And that's what the retreats are aimed at, letting people discover for themselves that they can,
mhm,
that this teaching, these techniques, the guidance of these techniques, the guidance of these people's experience is always guiding them back to realizing that they can live in this moment and realize that aliveness and that innocence and that joy of living life is for
mhm.
them to have all the time.
Amazing. And so these retreats are just in Spain, or are there anywhere else in the world?
The retreat that I'm helping with is what's called a mastery retreat because it's longer. And we run 2 week, 1 month, or even more. Can you imagine meditating for 1 month or more?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
know
can
it's life
imagine. I've
changing.
done that. It's amazing. You just don't
It's
see that
beautiful.
because everyone is doing it at the same time.
It's
It,
oh yeah,
it's the growth is so speedy, so easy.
everyone kind of bounces off each other. It's like all these strangers come together with the same intention, for themselves, but it becomes not just inward, it becomes holistic, it becomes about the environment altogether. And what I'm witnessing at the moment actually is because the group's been together for only 2 weeks, and the love, the family feeling, the support, the service, people just wanting to clean and make the place nice for everybody, open and close windows, just to make the temperature nice for everybody. Like the thoughtfulness
Yeah.
is just so beautiful to witness amongst a group of people doing this together.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. It's very special actually to see that connectedness that really forms.
Absolutely. And for you personally, Jaya, if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey, if you remember anything. I know you've been on this path for a long time, but what were your reasons, or what were you looking for in order to get to where you are just now?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I know I was a little bit disillusioned with how the way my life had gone. Like I had a relationship breakup that, so that kind of shattered the dream of the happy family and the house and the dog and the cars, the boat, that kind of dream that's where my life should go. Um, and Ascension pretty much fell into my lap pretty much in that moment when so much stuff was changing for me. And the beautiful thing about that time of my life is I actually really looked at me at the age 30 and went, well, where am I at? And where am I going? And I think a lot of people do that. You have the kind of crossroads when you kind of go, do I go left or do I go right? But this one was a very much a heart decision. It was a very spiritual decision. I didn't just want to, I don't know, buy a house or get another job. I actually wanted to step out into what I was here to do. Like, what is my purpose? What is my divine purpose for being here in this lifetime? And when it was thought of like that, I really wanted to make my meditation practice more important to then find out what direction that would lead me into. Like where am I really supposed to go? What am I really supposed to be doing? And I had no clue. And so when I went to a retreat and I saw the group of people, like I've just been explaining, and I was in meetings with guidance of practicing this teaching, and then having the length of time to practice and listening to everybody else going through their stuff and exploring what they were exploring. I was, let me just say, I was in love with where I was, but it sung to me so strongly that I knew that this is what I had to be a part of. And so I decided to stay longer. So my 2 week retreat then became a longer retreat.
Mm.
And in that time, I knew that this teaching was actually what I wanted to align with. So I actually took vows to become a monk to this teaching. So I'm not just a meditation teacher; I'm actually a monk of the Bright Path. And then at some point, I realized, and I was invited to become a teacher to teach the beginning classes, the first spheres, and be able to give away this teaching to others in its pure form. And it was just the best thing I could possibly think of, that if my life had changed so much in such a short period of time, from this judgmental, worrying, even angry woman to someone that was just in love with the world and wanting to share a way for other people to love themselves and see the goodness in themselves in the world too. Well, then becoming a teacher was an obvious step for me. And I didn't realize how much what an honor that would be, and how much gratitude I would have to actually teach someone else
Mm.
these techniques. because it's not just like, the hey, here you go, you can meditate. It's actually a tool that can change your life, just like it changed mine.
Mhm.
And it's such a fundamental way of seeing our patterns in our mind, going straight to the root. And every time I was actually leading a first sphere, like being the teacher of those classes, and I was sitting in front of strangers, I couldn't believe that I had ended up there, whereas I was such a judgmental person, a year ago, or an angry person 2 years ago, right? And so now here was I, just, giving this hand of hope to someone else for them to move in a new direction for them. So that's how my journey with these techniques started. And so it kind of like when I went back to the retreat environment, to visit, to enhance my own experience, to give myself more time to meditate, to ascend. That's when I realized the power of people coming together and all focusing on the same thing and supporting each other through their sharing, and just what a dynamic that is. I was very blessed that I got invited to stay a bit longer and start working or leading, helping support a retreat. And then that's when it kind of just naturally moved into my my role, or something that I have moved on to do today. So for about 20 years now, I've been helping run the longer retreats. I still very much love going into the world, into the communities, and seeing people at their very beginning stage of meditation or of ascending. But when you see people move on that journey and really follow their heart or follow their passion to change, that's the group of people that are coming to retreats, people that want to change. And seeing them drop away the things that they're not, the stresses, the resistance, the doubtlessness, the doubt, dropping that away so that they become doubtless, watching them just shine because they just are, yeah, is a very beautiful thing to be a part of.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like you're like a beacon of light for those people that feel like perhaps that there's no other way or no way out, or
Mm,
having a conversation the other day with my daughter about the state that she's perceiving the world to be right now. And I was mentioning it's not all like that, Iona. There's also the other side of the coin, which there's so many people out there making a difference in their lives and therefore impacting other people as well. And it just
yes.
to me so much like those people which seemingly are not doing much by closing their eyes are actually impacting the world in a more powerful and fundamental way.
Absolutely. It almost seems like you're not doing anything, right? You're going to close your eyes and meditate. You're going to a retreat to, I don't know, stay still. So it almost feels like you're not doing enough. But it's the opposite. It's because you are recognizing that you don't have to think those crazy thoughts or believe these doubt ideas, or be caught up in judgments, or this big stormy story about what's wrong in the world or what's wrong with me. When you realize you don't think that, what's left? And it's pure love. And so if you're contributing pure love to consciousness, to the world, to humanity, what greater gift could you give?
Mm,
So the art form of meditation, the art form of this practice, to actually do it and do it in a way that's very conscious or very present, becomes more natural as you learn to become more present. And so retreats are very much training people not just to kind of like da 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 da, you know,
mhm,
float around through their lives, but to be very grounded, very
mm,
present, very clear. So what that does in your daily life too is you have the clarity of how to handle situations. You don't get overwhelmed. You don't walk into a room and react. It's like taking out the stuff that we thought was normal and actually realizing that that's not normal. What's actually normal is this ability to be present And when more people are actually playing with that, that's how the world is changing. So the art form of meditation and of this practice of ascension is actually helping everyone else, healing everyone else, allowing this ability to be present, to actually be lived by many, many, many people, to be able to look people in the eye and smile at strangers, that kind of thing. As simple as it sounds, it could change someone's life. It could help somebody's day, if they're in a bad place. So it's a lot of these like little things which actually build up into something grand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just starts with a little crack.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something, Jaya, about a modern day monk. How does that look like?
Like this.
Happy all the time, joyful.
Well,
Why?
um, the traditional idea of what a monk should be like, we all probably have an idea because we've all come from, I don't know, learning about Christians or Catholicism or Buddhism, where people perhaps look different if they dedicate their lives to their religion or their belief. And perhaps then, because there might be a lot of them in the world, so it's more popular. So we might get the idea about robes or locations on the planet, certain things like that, right? So all of that is so inspiring to me. What I love about this teaching and why it works for me is we have chosen to treat the vows that we take, which is why we're monks, as more of an inside reminder, so that we're practicing, probably like all the other monks and other traditions too, we're practicing this awareness of how to align with being present, or whatever we call that. And in different traditions around the world, we might call that something different. God, Buddha, the way, many different things. I'll just keep using it as talking about being present for now.
Mm-hmm.
And as we align with that, I would actually say to go back into the world and live a life in the world. You're confronted with everything that the world's presenting right now, like AI, phones, all the stuff, the
All
busyness,
the
the
change.
life stuff that's going on. So a modern day monk, I guess, is living in this world with all the things that are going on, with all the distractions and everything that kind of pulls us into our senses, yet being aware that we're not those senses. We're not only those senses. We can be present when all that's happening. So it's a very playful way of living life now, yet being conscious of your actions, of your needs, of why you're doing things. And so what I love about that, there's no denial. There's curiosity. I don't deny myself, this, that. It's more, which means it's not spiritual bypassing and all that stuff. It's more like, who am I being in this moment? Who am I being as I'm using, the cell phone or watching Netflix, or, it's you're conscious in the life that you are leading.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very much in this world, in this modern day, but with the tradition of a meditation tradition, like the vows, the teaching. And I love that. I love how it comes together and you live that.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And just on those lines, I would like to mention, for those people that are watching this beautiful chat with you, Jaya, I'd just like to mention a book that we have, which is titled Dear Teacher. And this is a collection of letters written by modern day monks, such as Jaya, to their teacher. It's such an inspiring book. You will get to see all the things we explore within consciousness. maybe questions. How does it look like? What does it taste like? This is a wonderful book. You can find it in Spanish and also in English. Spanish would be Querido Maestro, and it's available on Amazon. So check it out. Another question I have for you, Jaya. What does your name mean?
Oh, wow. Um, Jaya is my meditation name. It's Sanskrit. And Jaya, the energy of Jaya is victorious. So in our tradition, I would say I'm the goddess of victory, the goddess of conquest, the goddess of triumph. So that kind of energy that myself represents
Uh-huh.
and distributes in the world. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful meaning.
A beautiful meaning. Fabulous. So amazing. And then I also, I think some of the people that will be watching this interview um, maybe are still looking for something, for a tool, for a practice. Would you have a message for these people?
Yeah. Um, well, firstly, you just mentioned that book, and a book is a very nice way to kind of like gently be introduced at your own pace in your home with a cup of tea um, to ideas. And if you kind of feel in your heart you want more, and you believe you are looking but don't really know where to look, that book would be a lovely way to kind of see genuine conversations that students of the teacher are having with the teacher. The students of this meditation practice, the Bright Path, are sharing with their guidance, with their guide. And what I love about that book is that it really shows that there's this living teaching and these people's experience as a result of their meditation practice, as a result of guidance, as a result of going to retreats, as a result of just jumping and following the heart, following a path. And what I'd like to say to people that are looking is it's real. I didn't think it, I didn't know. I didn't know where to look.
Mm.
And so the universe aligned me this direction, and I trusted and I walked and I went to the first sphere and I saw the teachers and I saw how genuine they were sharing. And then I moved on accordingly to my path to keep practicing, and it worked for me. And find what works for you. Like if you try that way and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure, try something else. But what I love, love, love about this teaching is that one, it's super user friendly, like it's super easy to do, yet the results are what speaks. So
Mhm.
the practice itself, is easy, 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 which is fabulous. But the results is what moved me. It's because I was changing. It's because I could see I didn't need to think that way and I had a tool to change that I kept walking on this path. So try it out. Just be curious to try. But it's real.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Jaya. And for those people that are practicing already, do you have a message for these people?
Practicing this practice?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I think the thing over the years that I've heard that people might, that ascenders might kind of just plateau on their journey of ascension
Mhm.
is when you perhaps feel like perhaps you meditation or ascension's gotten boring, or 20 minutes is enough, and that's all I need to do. And what I'd say is go speak to a teacher, go repeat a first sphere, go to a Zoom call, and get your experience kind of like ignited again. Just hear that information again, because there's more. If ever you feel like 20 minutes is enough, well, you might feel that. But the beautiful thing with this practice is there's eyes open ascending, explore that. Eyes closed ascending for 5 minutes here and there, but also the quality of how you're ascending. If it's just kind of like returning to the to the technique, well, there's more because it's about being present. So because there's more, I would advise any ascender to talk to a teacher, join some Zoom calls, get to a live in-person meeting or advanced weekend, and just realize how you can get more. Because honestly, it's too good to put it on the shelf. And any person that's already learnt these techniques can have this experience of freedom, because that's what the teaching's all about.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jaya. It's curiosity at the end, I suppose. It was, in my experience, it was being curious about my own experience of exploration. All those beautiful things that you have been sharing with us is amazing to hear it from another teacher. But having the direct experience of those things is it's a different ball altogether. Don't you think?
And absolutely, I love that word curiosity, because when you start to become curious about who you're being in throughout today, how can you ascend differently? How can you be more gentle with your practice? When you start to become curious, you're opening yourself up to explore more. And so that ceiling just got lifted. And that's how the growth can keep happening with anybody that's practicing this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jaya.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been an absolute honor to hear you. Everything you have to say is really amazing. Something I love about these informal chats with other teachers is that people get to see we have so many flavors. There's not one way to look. There's no one way to share that experience because every single teacher has such a different flavor, a different experience, a different nervous system, which makes this teaching so unique. There's no like one mold and everyone is the same. It's, we are also different, aren't we?
Thank goodness. I love that too, because then you just start to fall in love with everybody's flavor. And even if it doesn't quite match yours, you can be entertained by it and love them for just being different. I love that. Yeah. We're supposed to be different. Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for this time. Thank you for your wisdom. I just want to reinforce the book is titled
Mm.
Dear Teacher. You can find it in Amazon. And well, for you that you are watching this interview, there will be more with other amazing teachers of this teaching. And I'll see you on another interview. Thank you so much, Shaya.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.